To the Zone Sports Show, where you know Zonos. Hopefully, we all enjoyed this Memorial Day weekend. Family, friends, cookouts, barbecue burgers, ribs, pork, you name it. However, did everybody see the two Game 7s that we had on tap? It was a great weekend. Two Game 7s in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. Now, for the average NBA fan who doesn't mind the monotonous rematch, they should not be fazed by Golden State versus Cleveland for a fourth straight year. What about all this GOAT talk after Game 7? We saw LeBron mightily take down the Boston Celtics without a Kyrie Irving, without a Gordon Hayward. Now, we also heard a lot of comparisons, and the barbershops will be buzzing today, and they were yesterday, I'm sure, about whether or not Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James. Well, I know people still fight at the mall to buy his shoes, Michael Jordan. Now, will they ever get to that level for LeBron's 15s or whatever shoe he comes out with? I'm not sure. But I do know this. Michael Jordan, he was a phenomenal player, probably the best basketball player of our time, and that's widely acknowledged. LeBron, on the other hand, he has been to 8 straight finals. MJ never did that, but MJ did have a multitude of statistics that I could go up and down, all the defense player of the years and the scoring titles, the 3 straight championships twice. I could definitely hype that and talk about that. But when you talk about greatness and you talk about being about the moment and being a killer, that's something that MJ's been. And we could say LeBron's been that, and he's had to be with the teams that he's been on. People could say, oh, LeBron, he hasn't been on teams that have been great. He didn't have a Scottie Pippen, a Dennis Rodman. Well, Tristan Thompson's going to have to be as close to Dennis Rodman as LeBron could get. He's got an all-star in Kevin Love. Yes, this team was not the best that LeBron's had to play with. They say, oh, this is by far the worst team LeBron's taken to the finals. Well, do we remember the '07 Cavs? Do we remember when Kyrie went down when he had Matthew Dellavedova starting at point guard? Let's not forget history, folks. And let's not give this man a pass like he hasn't played in the weak Eastern Conference for the duration of his entire career. Let's not act like that fact isn't going to potentially knock the argument when you say, oh, LeBron's better than Michael Jordan. As far as I'm concerned, Michael Jordan's the real Space Jam. He always will be. Now, let's not look away from the fact that LeBron did take down the Boston Celtics in stern fashion in Game 7. And we saw that age and experience trumps youthful exuberance. The Cavs scored 87 points in Game 7. LeBron scored 35 points, had 15 rebounds. It shows that he still scored basically half his team's points. Kevin Love didn't even play in Game 7, which I feel like I understand the safety concerns when we talk about concussions, especially with sports that are collision sports such as football, such as hockey. But when you talk about basketball, if I'm Kevin Love personally, there's no way that I am going to act as though I am good enough to play. I've got to do everything in my power to get on the court for Game 7. Now, I'm not saying that this man was not really hurt, but for me, if I'm competing for a Game 7, I'm on the floor. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. But those days have long come and gone with the new research with CTE and things like that. But Kevin Love wasn't there for Game 7. Makes you wonder, will he be there for Game 1 of the NBA Finals? That's on Thursday. Now, as far as the Celtics, where do the Boston Celtics go from here? No Kyrie Irving, no Gordon Hayward. They didn't have those guys when it counted. However, they had a great season, great postseason without those two guys. 10-1 at home this postseason. They needed experience when it counted. If you watch that game down the stretch, you saw Terry Rozier, Jason Tatum do their best and bring their best efforts when trying to take out LeBron, but they all looked sporadic and nobody really knew how to move the ball when it got tight in the game. Everybody was just jacking threes, trying to play hero ball, especially Terry Rozier, but he did make a lot of noise in his playoffs and made himself a lot of money. However, that's not what the Celtics needed down the stretch. Now, they've got young pieces to play with. They've got a young Jason Tatum, who's clearly an all-star. Well, he reminds me a little bit, I'd say a little bit of Kobe Bryant. I know that's a far-fetched. It kills me with this GOAT debate because we just skip over Kobe when we talk about MJ and LeBron. But Jason Tatum, eerily similar to the Mamba. And that's just from what I saw in the way he played this postseason. Terry Rozier, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, all these guys, the Celtics have assets. And when you have assets, Do you really move anything? The one guy that I could see being moved is Marcus Smart because he just can be too extra. He's too up and down emotionally and as well as on the court too. Great defender, plays with his heart, but he's hanging on by a thread. So as far as I'm concerned, if I'm the Celtics, I really do strongly consider moving Gordon Hayward. Yes, I know Gordon Hayward's a phenomenal player. He's an all-star, NBA all-star, got hurt 10 minutes into the season. However, you've got a lot of young pieces that are much younger than Gordon Hayward and can contribute in a multitude of ways. Not to say that Gordon Hayward can't, but what can we get for Gordon Hayward? Can we trade Gordon Hayward for a top 10 pick? Can we do that? If I'm Boston, I'm thinking about that. Just a thought. Now, on the West Coast, LeBron went to sleep last night, but before he did, I think he found out that he'd be playing Golden State for a fourth straight time. Golden State was heading to a fourth straight finals, and the monster in the closet that Cleveland didn't want to see has come to fruition. Now, the Warriors beat the Rockets in Game 7 with no Chris Paul. We can make excuses all day about the State Farm mascot and say that, oh, his hamstring was done. If they have Chris Paul, they win that game. But I'm not so sure about that because Golden State, they are proven champions. They did it against OKC a few years ago with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, and I feel like they could have done it against a healthy Chris Paul and a James Harden, which is something they didn't have. The Rockets were 7 for 44 from three-point range, 15% shooting. That's been their asset the entire playoffs, and for some reason, they just could not get it done. From three in Game 7, Curry, Durant, and Curry, Durant, and Clay all combined for 80 points. When you have that type of production out of those three All-Stars, what do you expect if you're a Rockets fan? There's no way that your team can compete when James Harden's only scoring 32 points, 12 for 29 shooting. That's very pedestrian when you're an MVP candidate. And once again, the narrative continues about James Harden's crunch time woes. When will he shake that? I'm not sure when he'll shake that reputation, but it just seems that when the money's on the line, James Harden cannot cash the check. Rockets, they were obsessed with beating the Golden State Warriors. They weren't able to do it. But what happens with CP3 and his money? The man could have made $200 million in LA. Now he's forced to kind of see what's out there because he took his one-year deal and did it with the Rockets. Do they pay him big money? But I know in the back of his mind he may regret, maybe I should have stayed for that $200 million, but I don't think he does because he's getting paid by State Farm. I mean, come on now. He's the poster child for it. But his durability is a question for him. This is another postseason in which Chris Paul gets hurt. You know, he's had the hand before and the wrist. You know, this is really eerie to me. Chris Paul, this is a sign that maybe, you know, time is short for him because you get these injuries in these high-profile moments. People say, will he be there when we need him? Now, the final starts on Thursday for the fourth time. Most in professional sports, the Cavs will be meeting the Warriors. Now, you may think to yourself, who's going to win this year's NBA Finals? Well, I like the Golden State Warriors over the Cavs because of collective experience. You got a lot of young guys over on that Cavs roster. Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance Jr., Rodney Hood. You got a lot of role players who haven't necessarily been there. LeBron's been there. Kevin Love's been there here and there. But what are these young guys going to do? These mid-season acquisitions, what can they do in the NBA Finals? Andre Iguodala, for me, has to play for the Golden State Warriors because they need him to defend LeBron. He's got that lower leg contusion. If you take him away, that changes the entire dynamic, I think. KD's going to have to expend more defensively defending LeBron, which Andre Iguodala was taking some of that responsibility for quite some time. But I do think the Warriors still have the advantage. Don't forget Andre Iguodala was a Finals MVP, former Finals MVP. Where will LeBron's help come from? Kevin Love is injury prone. Will he be there game 1 or game 2 or game 3? When will he be back? Tristan Thompson and Jeff Green must become superhuman. Tristan Thompson, you got to average double-digit rebounds. And then Jeff Green, they need you to score possibly 15 and 10 a night. You know, and if they can do that, then they'll have somewhat of a chance. But I just don't see it with all the talent that Golden State has up and down the list, with even from the young guys, Quinn Cook to Jordan Bell to the experienced guys who are emotional leaders like Draymond Green. There's so many variables that go into why this Warriors franchise has been so successful. And I think that because of the formula they have and because they're familiar with this Cavs team, They defended LeBron 3 straight years in a row in the final. I think they beat them again. And I think they do it in 6 games. I say 6 because I'll give the Cavs 2 just because maybe they can will one out, and I saw the Warriors lose on the road. But I don't think this will go 7 at all. Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, they're hitting their strides at the same time. Steph is motivated in some respects because I think he knows to solidify himself as one of the greatest of all time, he needs to win a Finals MVP. So I think he will come out shooting early, bang, bang, as Chief Keef would say. And he will definitely contribute to what the Warriors are going to put together, which I think is a fantastic performance. And another championship run back to back. And that'll give the Warriors 3 and 4 years, which officially, I would say, solidifies them as a dynasty. MLB-wise, Mike Trout, JD Martinez, Mookie Betts, they're tied with 18 homers. If you haven't seen Mookie, Mike, or JD play, check them out. Specifically Mookie, that's my boy. He's always got the Jordan cleats on. I heard he comes here in Louisville and bowls sometimes. Hopefully I can meet him one of these days soon, maybe this summer or after the season, who knows. But yeah, that's always a fun thing to watch and look forward to. Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, don't see them on that list. NHL-wise, Vegas Golden Knights, they won Game 1 in the Stanley Cup Finals over the Washington Capitals, 6-4. But beware, Ovechkin likes to take some on the road. That's all I have for you guys today. Really looking forward to this Thursday's NBA Finals. What do these young Cavs look like? What does LeBron look like after expending so much energy throughout these playoffs and having to deal with all these Game 7s? What does he look like? Pacers and Celtics Game 7. How does that wear on him with his age? Because he hasn't showed any signs of slowing down. We saw him tired in one game. But what will really happen? Will Golden State prove supreme once again in Game 1? Will it be a blowout? I'm just looking forward to the finals. Thank you for watching the Zone Knows Sports Show, where you know Zone Knows.